Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru.
ਸਤਨਾਮ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀਓ। ਜਿਹ ਪ੍ਰਾਨੀ ਹਉਮੈ ਤਜੀ, ਕਰਤਾ ਰਾਮ ਪਛਾਨ। ਕਾਹੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਵਹੁ ਮੁਕਤ ਨਰ, ਇਹ ਮਨ ਸਾਚੀ मान। ਕਾਹੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਵਹੁ ਮੁਕਤ ਨਰ, ਇਹ ਮਨ ਸਾਚੀ मान। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਧੰਨ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਤੇਗ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਜੀ ਸੱਚੇ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ ਪਾਵਨ ਪਵਿੱਤਰ ਬਾਣੀ ਸਲੋਕ ਮਹੱਲਾ 9ਵਾਂ। We've all just listened to the 19th slok, Jeh Prani Haumai Tajee, Karta Raam Pachhaan. And this word Haumai we've heard again and again throughout Gurbani and in this Katha as well of Salok Mehalla Noma. We vaguely explained what Haumai is previously as well. If we just take a quick look at what these two pangtiyan, these two lines mean literally, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj is saying that Jeh Prani, Prani means mortal. So coming from the word pran meaning breath. So Pranee and the E actually represents inside. So that person, that being that has breath inside of them, that's called a mortal. Jeh Prani Haumai Tajee. They're saying that if a Pranee, if that mortal, he forsakes his Haumai, his ego. Jeh Prani Haumai Tajee. Tajee means to forsake. Jeh Prani Haumai Tajee, kartaa raam pachhaan. Then that being, that person is able to recognize Ram is the karta. Ram meaning another name for God, and then karta meaning the doer. They actually then realize that Ram, God himself, is the doer, is the karta. Karta Ram pachhaan. Pachhaan means to recognize. They're able to have this recognition. Kahu naanak vahu mukat nar. Nar means person as well, or literally translated to man. And they're saying, Kahu Nanak vahu mukat nar. That person is then mukat, is truly liberated. And again, we've gone through what it means to be liberated as well. And then we can look into it, into this, in this context as well of these pangtiyan. Kahu Nanak vahu mukat nar. And then Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Pacha says, eh maan saachee maan. It's saying, oh my mind, know this to be the absolute truth. There's three questions now that come up. So what is Haumai and where has it come from? And then how do we get rid of it, or how do we eradicate it? And to understand this, then we'll go to another part of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Pacha's Bani, where Pacha Ji say, Haumai eha jaat hai, Haumai karm kamahe. So Guru Angad Dev Ji Maharaj Ji tell us that Haumai eha jaat hai, that this Haumai, this is what it's like. So meaning it actually plays a role and it's got a purpose. So if it plays a role in our existence and in our living, and what is that purpose? It says, Haumai eha jaat hai, Haumai karm kamahe. It actually helps us to be able to do things in this life. It helps us to do karam, to do actions. And remember, Sangaji, for us to survive in this life, for us to actually exist, for this body to remain, for it to be nurtured as well, we need something called Haumai to be able to do things for this body. So it plays, so it serves a purpose. So that means if it serves a purpose and it's very important for our very existence, that means it's not something we've accumulated, it means it's something that we've been given. Just like this body has given, we've been given all these different organs to survive, and one of our main organs being our heart, and then we've got many other different organs, be it the kidneys, be it the liver. Just in that way, Guru Sahib Ji saying that Jin Rach Rachya Purkh Badate, that one that has made us, has established us and given us everything else. Jin Rach Rachya Purkh Badate is another name for God. Nale, and what else did he add to our making? Nale Haumai Pai. He put this Haumai inside of us, because that's what actually gives us recognition to be able to do something for ourselves. From that, we're able to do some form of action for this body. So, Pacha is saying that Nale Haumai Pai. Then Guru Sahib Ji go on to explain to us that Haumai ei bandana, fir joni pahe. But it's that very Haumai, then when we don't understand it and it gets out of control and it gets a grip of us, Haumai ei bandhana, it becomes the bondage. It's something that traps us. Fir joni pahe, it makes us fir meaning going round and round, joni in different life forms. And we get so stuck in it that we're not able to experience what it means to be liberated and free. We're going to understand it in this process. So there's Paramatma, there's Vaheguru Ji, there's God. And then from Paramatma, then comes the Atma. So Atma, an example to try and understand this, but remember, no examples are perfect. So we've got the sun. So imagine the sun to be Paramatma, to be God. You've got the rays of the sun, and imagine the rays of the sun to be the Atma. So we know the rays of the sun carries the exact same qualities of the sun. There is no difference. The rays of the sun are a part of the sun. And then the reflection that comes from those rays, that is then what we call Jeev Atma. That is what we call then this existence, what is made up of our mind as well. So we've got then Man, Buddh, Chit, Ahankaran. So the different parts that the mind is made up of. So now imagine, so we are that reflection. And that reflection, but our true self is the Atma. And what happens is, to keep that reflection, for that reflection to survive, it's been given something called Haumai. And that Haumai then gives us the drive to keep alive and to do things, to keep this body alive. And to go out there, to have that drive to go and work, to put something even in our mouth, to get out of bed. And that is all comes from that, to understand that. So how does buddhi, how does intellect play a part? So imagine intellect means that decision maker. So if my intellect has now decided, okay, pick up that glass. And me then going, when I actually pick up the glass, that is what is called Haumai that needs to pick that glass up. So it means that it gives the Jiva Atma, that reflection, some sort of identity to pick it up. So what happens is we get stuck in the Haumai and we actually forget that our true self is the Atma, the soul, and I'm now thinking for that reflection to be real and that to be my real self. It was only a function to survive, but I've started to think I actually am that and forgot what I actually really am. So when I forget what I am, and then I only know this existence, I only know this body now that is made up of 5 elements. I only know now my mind. I only know my thoughts. I only know about my intellect. I only know my chit, my memory. And then, so I start to think that is me. And I have no knowledge of actually the Atma of what I really am. And what starts happening then is, I want to grow this. I want to become bigger and better. And then we start to grow layers of this Haumai, what we call then I am, and we call it the identity. Guru Sahib Ji saying that Haumai ei bandhana, fir joni pahe. And then I start to do such actions, then thinking this is actually me. Now I'm trying to survive. Now I'm trying to grow and get bigger, but I was perfect. I was complete anyway, but I don't know I'm that. It was the soul that was. Then I start doing such actions that it keeps me in that circle of birth and death. And because I'm thinking I am that, and then when I'm thinking I am only body, the body one day will come to an end. Jo upajyo, so binas hai, paro aaj ke kaal. And that is the last salok that will come as well, that we look at. Whatever comes into being that is born, janamang ta maranang, that will die one day. So imagine I start to think I am something that is going to come to an end. For me, then there is death. And then there's that cycle goes round and round. So, but Satguru Ji Pach is saying that Haumai kitho upajay, which we've already looked at, that we know it's come from Vaheguru Ji. It was a part of our survival. But I started to think I am that, and I didn't realize what the function of it was for. So Pach is Haumai kitho upajay, kit sanjam eh jaye. How do I get rid of it, and where has it come from? Pach is that Haumai eho hukam hai. We know that it's the hukam, it's been created within his laws, Vaheguru Ji's laws that Haumai has, because we need it. So Haumai eho hukam hai, pe kirt firahe. So the question comes, Haumai kitho upaje. So we know now that this has come from Vaheguru Ji. That Haumai eho hukm hai. So if we didn't have it, we wouldn't even recognize this body. We wouldn't do anything for it. So imagine we're completely self-recognized and we just know we are Vaheguru Ji. And in that mode, that soul, it doesn't come, it doesn't go, it doesn't get hungry, it doesn't get thirsty. Nobody can destroy it. It's just complete. So there's nothing to do. There's no drive to do anything because you're complete. So we know it's a part of his hukam. It's put it in for us to survive. But then, Haumai eho hukam hai, pe kirt firahe. But it keeps us going firahe, round and round, in that kirt when I start to think I am that. Then Pachaji tell us that this is Haumai dirg rog hai. Daru pi isma mahe. Haumai dirg means chronic, and which means a long-term disease. And what happens is, it's been now so many janams where I have forgotten what I am. Just like Bhagavad Ravidas Ji say as well, that bahut janam bichhade te maado. Eho janam tumhare lekhe. That Bhagavad Ravidas Ji saying that it's been so many births that I have forgotten who I am. When I say that I've not met you, bahut janam bichhade te maado, I've been separated from you, meaning it's been so long that I've forgotten what I am. Imagine now, so if we die in Haumai, just like Pachi says that janam maran ushi ko hai re. So when we die in Haumai, and then Haumai ch aaya, Haumai ch gaya. So we came in Haumai, we go in Haumai. So we've died only knowing the self, that false identity that I've built up about myself, this body, this mind. And when I come back, and when I'm born again, I come back in Haumai as well. Haumai ch aaya. I come back in Haumai as well. So when we come into this world, we already come not knowing what we are. So imagine it's been so long, it could be hundreds of years, tens of thousands of years that I've only known this body, but not just that, Sangat Ji. We've built up even more layers on top of just knowing that body as well, and it's gotten completely out of control. But Paach is saying Haumai dirg rog hai. So what else is it that we've built up around this? And then inside of that, Pachaji tell us the answer, but to understand the answer, we'll try and use some of our itihas, some of our history of Guru Sahib Ji's time to understand that. What are the extra layers that we put on just from first thinking on the body or the mind? Some of those extra layers, Guru Gobind Singh Ji tell us what Akal Purkh Ji has not got around them. And they actually know exactly. So those that are self-realized, they know exactly what they are. So they start off saying Chakkar, Chehan, Ar Barn Jat, Ar Paat, Nehan Jeh. Nehan Jeh means that Vaheguru Ji hasn't got any of these layers of ego, of what we identify ourselves to be. So that means our soul hasn't got any of them as well, what we really are. But we've ended up thinking with that reflection. Just like if we look into a clean pond and we then see a reflection within that pond, and that reflection we think that is the real thing. I'm not remembering it's only a reflection. So then those extra layers are Chakkar, Chahan, Ar and Ar Baran. Baran is caste. Jat is then subcastes. So for example, the 4 Varans are the Brahmins, which are the scholars, the higher caste, which is known as the higher caste, who were learned of the Vedas. And then so the Brahmins, then we had the Khatris, which were the warrior class. Then the Vas, which we could say to be like the middle class, so the working class. And then those with amongst them would have been your carpenters, would have been your farmers. And then you had then the Shudras, which were classed as the untouchables, which did the lowest of work, who had to pick up even the dirt of then the Vas and the Khatris as well. But further divisions from then, so like we just went through, so you have your working class, then the further divisions of what we just went through would be like a carpenter, your farmer and whatnot from that. But then you've got your families as well. So within one, so you could have somebody that is a farmer, so as we all know that referred to as Jats, but within them then you've got even a further division, which is then their family name. So it could be Gill or whatever else it may be. These are extra layers of Haumai, of ego. So remember, Haumai, ego was just so we could do something for this body, and it had a purpose, but we started to think, I am that. Now that means we've not recognized ego. Haumai bujje tandar sujje, gyan vihuna kat kat lujje. One that is without that true wisdom of what we are, gyan vihuna, haven't got the gyan. We start to think I am that, but on top of that, then I start to think, I am this caste. I am this color. I am this title of, I am a pracharak. I am a doctor. And if somebody doesn't call me up on stage by calling me by the name doctor, then how's going to break loose? Because you know what? That is me. That's who I am. How can they take that I am away from me? Remember, Haumai translates to I am, what I identify myself to be. I am this color. I am this caste. I am a Brahmin. And then I'm meant to be served by the Khatris, are meant to protect me, and the Vas are meant to be the ones lower than me that do the work, and then the ones that are lower than that, the Shudras, are meant to be picking up all my dirt and cleaning my house for me and everything, because I am that. And that's now become another layer which I think I am. So Tan Sri Guru Angad Dev Ji Garib Nawaz Sache Padshah, when Guru Sahib Ji passes all their tests, Sikhan Putran Kokh ke sab ummat vekho je kyun, Jasa dos tan lehna tikyon. When Bhai Lehna Ji went through and passed all the tests that Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha Ji gave out to the Sangat and to the Sikhan Putran Kokh ke, they tested everyone. Jasa dos ta lehna tikyon, but it was Bhai Lehna Ji that remained standing in the end. That was the complete pure one. But then Guru Nanak Dev Ji Pacha Ji gave hukam to Bhai Lehna Ji after giving him the jot uha Jugt Sai se kaya fir palati hai. And then Sangat Ji, Guru Angad Dev Ji Pacha Ji went into the house of Mata Virai Ji, and it was in a pend in a village called Sangar Pend, and that was their childhood friend, we could say, family friends that they grew up with, Guru Angad Dev Ji Pacha Ji. And some even say unnu pua karke sadde hunde sage. When they stayed at their house and they didn't establish themselves and come out and told everyone that they were the Guru now. But instead, eventually, when Baba Buddha Sahib Ji went with all the Sangat and they found Guru Angad Dev Ji, when Bhai Balwand Ji did Kirtan sitting outside the house of Mata Virai Ji, and then when Guru Angad Dev Ji Pacha Ji first wouldn't come out, and then when they heard the Kirtan and they heard the Shabad of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, but it was that Kirtan that pulled out Guru Angad Dev Ji Pacha Ji from that house. So now that can tell us how amazing and beautiful Kirtan is as well, that it can help us and with singing to please our Guru. Guru Angad Dev Ji Pacha Ji then, after the Benti of the Sangat said, now you're to come out and take over and lead the Sangat now. When Guru Angad Dev Ji Sahib Ji Sache Padshah Ji, then they said to Baba Buddha Ji, let's look for a place to establish now where we're going to settle. And that place where they established and they settled was Khadur Sahib. And remember, Sangat Ji, Mata Khivi Ji, the wife of Guru Angad Dev Ji, came and joined Guru Angad Dev Ji Pacha Ji here. But imagine this, when Guru Angad Dev Ji Pacha Ji left their home, they went as Bhai Lehna, they went as this normal being, but coming back, they come back as a Guru. Imagine now when somebody comes back as a Guru, what is Mata Khivi Ji now going to have to go through? And how did she accept that? Sangat started coming. First, maybe it would have started off with just a few Sangat turning up, a few tens, and then it became hundreds, and then it became thousands. Because where that light is, you can never hide that light. Mata Khivi Ji taking care of all the Sangat, taking care of all the langar, to the point where Bani has said that Balwand Khivi Nek Jan, this Bauti Chau Patrali, she was this noble being, like this shadowing leaf that everybody would go to. Langar Daulat Vandiya Ras Amrit Kheer Kyali, she would give out this kheer that is made out of that pure ke, and Mata Ji would never differentiate between her own children and the Sangat. She took the Sangat on as her very own children. And she served them just like she would serve her own son. Because Gursikhs ke mukh ujle man mukh thiye parali. This is the Gursikhs, when they come to Mata Khivi, their faces, they would return with their faces shining, because Mata Ji would give them so much comfort. But now, even though Mataji said doesn't matter, like she took on everyone as her own. Just like you'd go out your way and you'd do anything for your child, but she couldn't now cope, literally couldn't cope, physically couldn't cope because there was too much Sangat now. So she said to Guru Angad Dev Ji, I need somebody to come and help me now. So what happened? Guru Angad Dev Ji Pachi said, even if we have to employ someone, we'll take somebody on to help you in the langars. Because so much milk started to come to Khadur Sahib. And as that milk came, Mataji said, let's utilize that milk and start making kheer. Somebody came forward by the name of Bhai Jodh. Bhai Jodh Ji comes forward and he said, please, if you would, bless me with this seva of helping you in the langars. And Mata Khivi Ji said, let's try and work out, let's arrange your wages. He said, no, I've not come here to take a wage. I want to just serve. And Mata Ji took him on. But Bhai Jodh Ji would immerse himself constantly in the langars, constantly helping, making and serving day and night. Mata Khivi Ji noticed something after some time. She noticed that Bhai Jodh Ji would not sit amongst the rest of the Sangat and eat, but instead Bhai Jodh Ji would wait. And then he would actually, whatever was left over from the Sangat, and he would just pick out of that little bits that were left over. Mata Khivi Ji ne bula liya, ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਤ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਮਝਦੇ ਸੀ ਸਭਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ, she'd take everyone as a child. ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਜੋਧ ਜੀ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੱਸੋ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਦਾਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਚਿੜੀਆ ਵਾਂਗੂ ਚੁਗ ਚੁਗ ਕੇ ਕਿਉਂ ਖਾਂਦੇ ਆ? Why do you peck like a little bird out the leftovers from the Sangat's trays? Bhai Jodh Ji, somebody like myself would have given this huge philosophy behind it and given this huge explanation. Well, you know why? It's because of this, that and the other, and because I'm so humble and whatever. But Bhai Jodh Ji just put his hands together and he just said, Bakshado Mataji, please forgive me. But he continued to do that. So Mataji took that to Guru Angad Dev Ji, said, Guru Angad Dev Ji, Bhai Jodh Ji ਉਸ ਲੰਗਰਾਂ 'ਚ ਬਹਿ ਕੇ ਛਕਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ, ਇਹ ਚਿੜੀਆਂ ਵਾਂਗੂ ਚੁਗ ਚੁਗ ਕੇ ਖਾਂਦੇ ਆ. Then he pecks from the rest of the tray from the Sangat. And at that point, Guru Angad Dev Ji Pachaji looked at Bhai Jodh Ji. Kande, is this true? Is this what you do? And Bhai Jodh Ji put his hands together and said, Maharaji, I'm not worthy of going and eating and sitting and eating a sucha plate of food, to eat food that is pure, that comes directly from your thal. And he said, but so instead, I eat the jute, I eat the leftovers that is from the Sangat. And as Bhai Jodh Ji was saying this with so much humility, Guru Angad Dev Ji Pachaji, bahut choti gal nahi, bahut vaddi gal hai. The Guru is listening to the Sikh, and it's normally the Sikh that would cry for the Guru, but the Guru's eyes filled with tears. Guru Angad Dev Ji Pacha Maharaj di ਅੱਖਾਂ ਭਰ ਆਈਆਂ ਪਾਣੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, ਹਰ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਭਿੰਨੇ ਲੋਇਣਾ, ਮਨ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਰਤਨਾ ਰਾਮ ਰਾਜੇ. And remember, when you can see the light of God in somebody else, then you drop those pure tears and they roll down your face. Just like Satguru Ji Sache Paatshah said in Bani as well, Nanak runna baba janiye je rove laye pyaro. And know that cry to be the true cry, when you cry in the love of God. Guru Angad Dev Ji Pacha can see the reflection of God in Bhai Jodh Ji and starts to cry. And then at this point, Guru Angad Dev Ji Pacha didn't stop. They said, tell the Sangat Bhai Jodh. They said, why do you do this? Bhai Jodh Ji said, my caste, kende main Brahmani jaat da haan. They said, my caste is a Brahmin. And they said, you know what? He said, I was not happy. I had so much ego. I had that layer of I am a Brahmin, I am a scholar, and I couldn't get rid of it. I tried so many things. And then Guru Angad Dev Ji Pachaji said, so why do you eat from the plate of other Gursikhs? Why do you eat their jute? He says, Maharaj Sache Paatshah Ji, he says that I couldn't get rid of that layer and that ego. He said, so I came, so I didn't feel worthy because I was so dirty, because I had that layer and I looked down on other people and I couldn't get rid of it. He said, so to wash that away, to wash that layer of ego away, he said, I started to eat the jute, I started to eat the leftovers of the Sangat. And by this time, Guru Angad Dev Ji Pacha's tears are flowing. But you know what Guru Angad Dev Ji Pachaji did? Kende Bhai Jodh, kende hon sama nahi, kende jhootha khaan li, kende langaran vichon sangat da. And you know what? This is known that for a sant, somebody that you respect, for the Guru, you always sit on the right hand side of yourself. And a sant, your Guru who teaches you something, you always sit on the right hand side of yourself. Guru Angad Dev Ji Pachi did ashara, and imagine what would have gone through Bhai Jodh Ji at that time. Aidhan wale karke, they tapped the floor onto the right hand side of themselves. Guru Angad Dev Ji Pachi kende mere sajje paase aake baja. Come and sit on the right side of me. Bhai Jodh Ji saying, how can I do that? You always keep your Guru to the right. Guru Angad Dev Ji Pachi says, this is my hukam, this is my order. Bhai Jodh Ji ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਨਾਲ ਸੱਜੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਬਿਠਾਇਆ. Bhai Jodh Ji ਜਦੋਂ ਬੈਠੇ ਨੇ, when they sat there, Bhai Jodh Ji, Guru Angad Dev Ji Pachi Ji said, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਅੱਜ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੰਗਤਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ thal that comes for me first, they said Bhai Jodh Ji will sit here and eat from that very thal, and he'll be the first one to take from that thal today. Because Guru Angad Dev Ji Pachi Ji said he came with that layer, he came with that haumai. He said, but he's washed it away by doing the seva of the sangat, and today that Vaheguru Ji has become pargat in him. Je Pranee Haumai Tajee kartaa raam pachhaan. That person then is able to recognize that the karta, that the doer behind everything is God himself. I think that I am doing everything until I think I am the doer, until I think I am the creator. जब यह जाने मैं किच करता तब लग गर्भ जोन में फिरता. Until I think I am that identity and I am the doer, I am doing everything. Until then we have to go keep going round and round. Pachi saying jeh Pranee Haumai Tajee kartaa raam pachhaan kahu naanak vahu mukat nar eh man saachee maan. He had that pride inside of him, inside of his heart, for being that Brahmin, but now he's free. His shackles are broken from that layer of haumai, of being that particular caste. Chakkar chahn ar barn jaat ar paat nehn jay roop rang ar rek pek kau keh na sakt keh. And then Guru Angad Dev Ji Pachi, when that plate of food came, Bhai Jodh Ji was the first to eat that plate of food, because Guru Angad Dev Ji Pachi said, they said, whose heart has Rab, whose heart has God inside of them now, even though everybody's heart has God inside of them, but it's about recognizing that. If we're stuck in our haumai, we just think we are that. But those that have recognized God after purifying their mind, Guru Angad Dev Ji Pachi says, now that Rab that is sitting inside of you, ode vaste jhootha nahi. Now that Rab inside of you is going to be eating pure food now. In this way, Bhai Jodh Ji, Sangat Ji got rid of his haumai completely. He still continued to do seva, but now he ate that bhojan that came straight from the langars and didn't eat from the jhoot. And somebody laughed and said to him, he said, Bhai Jodh Ji, because ਹੁਣ ਨਹੀਂ ਝੂਠਾ ਖਾਣੇ, ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹੁਣ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮੈਂ ਪਵਿੱਤਰ ਭੋਜਨ ਮੇਰੇ ਉਹ ਪਵਿੱਤਰ ਆਤਮਾ ਨੂੰ ਛਕਾਉਣਾ ਆ. Now this pure food I give to that pure Vaheguru Ji that sits inside of the heart. And Sangat Ji, in this way, that Pacha Ji saying that haumai dirg rog hai, daru pi is mahe. They said, but the daru, the medication, the cure is inside of this body as well. Sadhguru Ji Sache Paach say that, Kirpa kare je apni taan gur ka shabd kamahe, that we're able to then earn the Guru's teaching, gur ka shabd. The Guru's teaching, when we earn the Guru's teaching and we serve in that way, then those layers of haumai start to become washed away, Sangat Ji. The only way to do it is submitting ourselves to the Guru, giving ourselves to the Guru, following Guru's word. Nanak kahe sunho janho it sanjam dukh jahe. This is through this way of earning the Guru's word, earning the Guru's teaching. In that way, all the dukh, the suffering will go. The suffering is when I start to identify myself within false identity other than my Atma. I start to believe that I am that reflection. But this game was about understanding what haumai was given for. It was just a function. Haumai bujhe taan dar sujhe. Only then I'm able to understand. Only then I'm able to break away from those shackles of thinking it's me, and understanding and realizing the karta, the doer, is someone else. I have no power over that. Jai Pranee Haumai Tajee, that we're able to forsake our ego as well. Jai Pranee Haumai Tajee kartaa raam pachhaan. We're able to recognize the karta behind everything. And then Pacha Ji say that kahu naanak vahu mukat nar. And then we can become liberated in that way as well by earning the Guru Shabad, e man saachee maan. So hopefully, let's all aspire to take a little grain away from Bhai Jodh Ji and get rid of our layers too. So Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.
If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Please donate and help spread Guruji's message. Link is in the description below. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.
Vaheguru